What is up, everybody, and welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on Tuesday, July 8th. 13-game baseball slate, joined as always on Tuesday afternoons by Mr. Steve Boynton. Steve, how you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
I'm good. We got a big slate, like you said. Always big slates on Tuesdays. It was an interesting slate last night. There were a bunch of ninth inning home runs that mattered. Our guy JBC got 4 home runs from guys in their last at bats to win on FanDuel, which is just crazy running pure. So congrats to him. I had a decent night myself. But yeah, I think this is a really good pitching slate overall. I think there's a lot of options kind of at every pricing tier that we can consider. And then obviously we've got some good hitting situations as well. So
it's good for one of the little players out there to win one once in a while. So I'm happy JVC got his home runs in the 9th inning and had a good night. Good job, Mark. proud of you, buddy. Good to see you wind up on top for once. Good question. I think, Boyd, if yesterday's show, I know a lot of you guys watching this show tuned in yesterday too. If Monday's show with JT and Big T, I think has been dubbed Game Log Mondays. I think that name is sticking around for a while. I think it's a good one. If Monday's show is Game Log Mondays, what is the Tuesday show? The DC and Boynton show called? What's it called? I'm sure our chat has some good ideas. But you got any good ones off the top of your head, Steve?
No, but I'm sure the YouTube chat will either make fun of us or come up with something good or both. So fire in what you think in the comments here.
Yeah, I think a good chance that's both. So we'll see if we get any good submissions for that one. We do have 13 games to talk about, Steve. A lot to go over. There's a little bit of everything on this slate. Some weather issues, some extremely hot weather. We've got aces on the hill. We've got what I think are pretty good cheap options, which, by the way, Steve, the Dickie Fitz Jason Junk combination, Jansen Junk, that I talked about on the show, pretty nice for a 12.2K total. Much better than the popular value plays of Bybee, Colton Gordon. No, you needed those first two guys I talked about if you were spending down. So there we go. 1 point. I'm claiming victory on Game Log Mondays. And now we're on to Tuesday. Seattle and the New York Yankees are up first here. 2 righties, Will Warren, Logan Gilbert. This is one of the games, Steve, that we are going to have to watch for potential weather issues. Looks like there could be a decent-sized storm moving through the area sometime close to game time. So I actually think this game could potentially start in delay. I do think they are going to play the game, though, and it should be excellent hitting conditions. I think it's going to cool off a little bit after the storm. Right now, there's like a heat index of 110 degrees or something crazy in New York. Not going to be that hot by the time the game starts, but the ball's going to be flying here. This will be playing like a very, very strong home run park tonight in Yankee Stadium. 2 good pitchers, Will Warren, Logan Gilbert, but I got to be honest, I'm more looking at the offense here. I don't really want a lot to do with these pitchers, even 2 pitchers I like in this game in Yankee Stadium, but I think reasonable people could maybe be interested in these pitchers. Maybe you are. Not sure. Haven't talked before the show much. But go ahead, Steve. What do you see here, Mariners and Yankees?
Yeah, kind of bummed that the weather's so good for hitting because I think we both like these pitchers more than most, especially Will Warren, who I know both of us have been riding him all season, coming off the bad start. But, that's going to happen with young pitchers. If this was, any weather besides what it is, I'd be interested in both guys here. I think both are, playable. They're just going to be pretty low owned because of the weather. Logan Gilbert, highest strikeout rate on the entire slate. Pretty boom bust matchup for him in general anyways with the Yankees. They're striking out a ton against righties, but they do have the power. I think Gilbert's like an okay play. There are 5 guys on this slate that I think are really good play as a pitcher. I think him and Warren are just outside of that top 5 or 6, just because of the 90-degree heat, the wind blowing out, and with these conditions, DC, we could see a storm kind of pop up at any point. So, when I read the playbook earlier, I was higher on these guys, when the weather wasn't looking as crazy, but really tough to play these guys in this park with this weather. Although I'm not sure I really want to attack, especially Gilbert. Like, we saw him pitch here in Chicago. It was a couple of weekends ago when it was like 100 degrees with winds blowing out. He still pitched pretty well. He just gave up a couple of solo bombs. So
I mean, he hasn't been that sharp, and man, what a difference pitching in Seattle than in this. It's like a not a Wrigley win game, but like a Yankee Stadium win game, and the humidity and everything. Like,
I think I'd rather play Seattle bats. Are you more on the Yankee side here? I just think that could go more wrong for Warren than it will for Gilbert. Just, I don't know. I feel like Gilbert, even though he might not pay off his salary, is still going to pitch decently well. But it sounds like you have a different opinion.
Well, I'm not really on either stack, but I do want some of the studs here. I mean, obvious names, right? The two best power hitters in baseball right now, or two of the very best, Camporeale and Aaron Judge. You're going to get them both. It looks like under 10% owned. I really like Jason Dominguez leading off in that mid 3K range, hit 2 home runs from the leadoff spot in his first chance there last week. I believe this is just his second game back in the leadoff spot. Gilbert will give up power, right? I mean, I'm just not that worried about it. So, yeah, I want the studs in this game. I think they're awesome one-offs. A full stack against these guys, on a 13-game slate, I'm not going to quite get there. But,
yeah,
give me the power in a stadium built for power against pitchers who I think, they give up their fair share of fly balls and home runs. And well-struck fly balls tonight are going to have a really good chance of leaving the yard. So I do want the power hitters on both sides. Obviously, going to have to pay attention to the weather. I do think, before we move on, that the most likely outcome is going to be a delay before they play. But I do think they are going to get this game in without issue when it's all set, or after the delay when it's all said and done. All right, we got to keep it moving to the Rockies and the Red Sox. This one in Fenway will be somewhat similar weather in Fenway, a little bit of winds blowing in, but will be hot, humid. Another game we do at least have to pay attention to the weather all the way up to lock, but another game that I do think will play. Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies here. Obviously a very similar spot, Steve, to yesterday, right? I mean, Gomber and Freeland, I don't really differentiate much between them. I just don't think you need to get quite that far into the weeds necessarily on every single matchup. So for me, the Red Sox were in a great spot yesterday, came through. I think they are in one today, and I have a similar take to what I did yesterday. I really like that bottom of the Red Sox order. Came through pretty well last night. So did the top, or at least a lot of it. But the pinch hit risk is still kind of a concern. Not sure how far in the weeds you got with that, if you have.
I think it's a big concern. I mean, not as much as last night where these guys were literally 40% owned, just because there's more offensive spots than there were last night. But sorry to cut you off, but what we're saying is Eaton, Ref Snyder, and Wong. Boston has shown us, DC, repeatedly in the last week that these guys are not going to face right-handed pitching right now. I was on the same spot as you last night. I played 5 through 9 Boston, and I kind of like that too. I will say Romy Gonzalez has got insane numbers against lefties. I think he's fairly safe from pinch hitting. I think he's safer than the other 3 for sure. They haven't pulled him over last week with the Bregman injury. I think he's the safest one, and he's got by far the best numbers against lefties. He's got like a 1,200 OPS this season, DC, against lefties. Actually, playing the left-on-left guys. We saw Roman Anthony go deep last night. He's had a really good 10 days or so. Obviously, top prospect. And then, I don't mind Duran left-on-left. I kind of want to just play the guys who are going to be lower owned, and that's going to, it kind of works out well because it's not the pinch hit guys. Like, I don't want Eaton. I don't want Ref Snyder. I don't want Wong here. I want the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, Roman Anthony's a good shout. He's going to be a fucking monster. Like I think very soon. You know,
He hit
I
an
think
absolute nuke last night. Oh my
yeah, it could kind of click in for him at any point, and I'm not sure it's going to matter who he's facing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if in a month if he was a upper 5Ks type of player, just absolutely crushing it. There's a reason the Red Sox just put him, right in that 2-3 hole. They don't move him lefty, righty, it doesn't matter. Even for good hitters. I mean, Brady's been on fire, can't get to the lineup against the lefty. They've got Duran down there in the 7 hole, but Anthony left on left keeps his spot in the 3 hole. Probably going to be in that 3 hole for a lot of years for the Boston Red Sox. So 3,900 for him is just a major discount, especially against a soft tossing lefty who that's just not a bad matchup whatsoever for Anthony, even left versus left. So with you on that. What about Bayo as a pitcher, Steve? I mean, 6,600, we know the talent can be there. Came out of he finished the game that got suspended. I think a bunch of us played the Red Sox that went like 3 or 4 innings.
Yep.
They came back and finished the game the next day. That was back on July 1st. Bayo pitched most of the rest of that game against Cincinnati. Pitched well. Previously had thrown 104 pitches, 94 pitches, 114 pitches. He's on some even extra rest now. So I think Bayo should be good to go here for, as long as he can go, as long as he's effective, which against the Rockies could be a while, right? I mean, we call them the pace eaters on this show, and we play everybody against them. I played Dick Fitz against him yesterday, got 20 fantasy points or whatever it was he ended up with. So I don't see any reason why Bayo couldn't do the same thing at 6,600. I wrote my article early this morning. I had a busy day, but I think I should have included Bayo, just like a brain fart there. I think he's a good player against the Rockies. Where do you stand on Brian Bayo?
Yeah, we played much worse pitchers at 6K against this team, DC, this season.
Yeah.
Like someone just said in the chat, really good win chance too, which is good for a guy like him because he doesn't have big-time strikeout upside. I like him. I think he's going to be more popular than the projections say just because of the matchup at that price tag, but I have no issue with it. He isn't a guy that I use often, but, I'm going to use him in plus matchups at home, which is exactly what this is. So I do like him as well. I do think that the best plays in the game are the Boston Bats, but I will have some Bayo for sure.
Yeah, he seems like he's got the stuff to get swing and miss against. I mean, most pitchers do, but I could see his talent kind of shining through a little bit here. So I do like Bayo at that price point. Hard not to against the lowly Rockies. Miami and Cincinnati up next. Great American Ballpark here, and we'll play like classic Great American Ballpark tonight. Ball will be flying. One of the better home run parks of the night. You got Nick Martinez going for the Reds. I feel like I have not that much success either using Martinez or picking against him. So
he's one of those guys, man. He's so frustrating.
I don't have a good grasp on when he's going to do well, or just a pitcher who's kind of eluded my analysis so far. Yuri Perez, pitcher I'm pretty high on. Kind of getting stretched out here after missing some time with injury, but still one of the hardest throwing right-handers in baseball, one of the younger right-handed pitchers in baseball, and I think maybe kind of finding his groove a little bit, coming off his best performance since 2023 last time out. Went 6 innings, 80 pitches, 7 Ks against the Twins. A scary spot here, Steve. I mean, he's a boom-bust pitcher in general, but I mean, I played Jansen Junk against this lineup yesterday. He got 7 strikeouts over 6 innings. I don't see the reason why Yuri Perez can't do it. So maybe we just run it back. Boston starter, Miami starter, rack up the strikeouts, pay down, and load up the bats. Seems like a decent plan to me. I could definitely see making the cases for these offenses, though. I think they're in pretty good spots too. Your thoughts here, Steve? Marlins and Reds.
Yeah, you just don't see that many 6K arms with this kind of talent and strikeout upside as Yuri Perez. I know he's a guy that we both like long term. Good to see him have a really nice outing. He's pretty much fully stretched. I think
we got a winner here so far.
Shooting graphs, these things.
Only people in Discord are going to get that.
That'll land for about a third of the audience.
That's about right. A third.
Shooting Craps Tuesday. What a story! It's a story for a different show.
The legend Warlock, by the way, the single best baseball Discord member is Warlock.
He only has one type of post, which is just fine with us.
And it's always a great one. So yeah, Warlock. Shout out to Warlock.
Where was I? Oh yeah, Perez. I think he's going to be volatile going forward, kind of based on if he can avoid walks. You're right. Like, this is a tough spot for a fly ball pitcher in this park. But I think you definitely want some exposure to him. Like, he's got an awesome strikeout prop for 6K. We know he's talented. His stuff plus in that last start, DC was like 117. That's like Tarek Skubal levels of stuff.
These are the types of dudes you want to play for this price point.
So like 6K Yuri, it doesn't matter where he's pitching. I'm going to have some exposure to him. I think he's terrifying to have on like a main team, but I'm definitely going to have some of him.
Only if you're terrified to lose on one slate. I mean, who cares? This is one slate.
That's true.
You shouldn't be terrified.
I just mean, like, his spot and matchup versus playing Bayo at home against the Rockies, just feels safer. Although I do think that Perez obviously has more upside. And then, I think we can play some bats again from the Miami side. I prefer, the top couple. We saw Ramirez hit just a monster home run late in that game, second deck. He's got huge power, as you were talking about yesterday. Him, Stowers, Sanchez. I think I'm more one-offs and mini stacks here on the Miami side. And then some of Perez here.
I forgot to look up Yuri Perez. I think you can run on him. I want to make sure. So just real quick. Yeah. Yeah, he gave up 11 stolen bases in 90 innings in 2023, and he's given up 4 in 22 innings. So, you could definitely see the Reds. Friedel, McLean, De La Cruz. Yeah, they've got some speed.
Yeah, the top couple here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ellie De La Cruz, the more I look at it, he looks like he could be a very, very strong one-off, which I think there's a few of those guys. I think some of the studs, Steve, are in really, really interesting spots. Makes me definitely interested in paying down for pitching, at least on some builds, right? Some of these aces do look good as well. I'm with you on, the Marlins look good too. It's, Ramirez and Stowers and Sanchez. Those three are the three that I play most often. But that 5-man for the Marlins up top, the first 5, I think all looks pretty good, even if Nick Martinez does frustrate us from time to time. Blue Jays and White Sox are up next. This one in right field in Chicago. Another hot, humid game with potentially some favorable winds. It'll be veterans here. Aaron Savale going for the White Sox. Kind of a middle-ish of the road right-handed pitcher, probably on the bottom end of that range. And Chris Bassett, pretty good pitcher. He does have struggles against lefties a little bit, and the White Sox are swinging better bats than they used to, or at least they did at the beginning of the season. So I think Bassett's an okay play at 8,300, but I didn't love him here. I'm not sure what the ownership's going to end up with. No interest in Savali, but I'll go right back to the Blue Jays. Love what they're putting out there right now.
Man, they've been smashing lately. I saw something on their broadcast yesterday. It was like May 28th. They were like 6 games back of the Yankees or 8 games back of the Yankees, and they've just been on a tear ever since.
The Springer, Vlad, Bichette just missed one in the first inning. Barger, obviously,
great.
Love what he's doing. So Kirk has been a really good hitter, especially for a catcher. Sounds like you're in on this Blue Jays team too.
Yeah, they had the free guy Luperfito last night, hit a bomb. I just really like 1 through 7 here. Really, Barger really putting it together, kind of cementing the top 5 of this lineup as really, really scary. It's going to be humid here tonight. I think we have to at least check weather before this game. DC, I think there's going to be storms in the area. I think it'll be fine, but that just means that it's going to be great hitting conditions overall. I I didn't have Bassett in my pool. He might be a guy who comes back in if like the weather looks bad in New York and I want to get off both of those pitchers, something like that. He just missed my my pool.
Yeah, Benintendi stands out to me as a pretty damn good play, which is kind of a funny thing to say. But 3,200, he's been swinging it good. Bassett gets hit by lefties. Yeah, cheap, hitting in the 3-hole makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll throw that one out there for the White Sox. All right, let's do the other Chicago game. Cubs and Twins here in Target Field, but a very warm Target Field. We'll play as one of the better hitter-friendly nights that we've seen so far this year in Target Field. So potentially, I think a good night for offense here. Simeon Wood Richardson going for the Twins. He's not anything special. Very hittable pitcher. Can play either side of the plate versus him, really. And yeah, this Cubs lineup, I mean, they could easily crush Woods Richardson. That would not be shocking whatsoever, to me at least, in a friendly hitting conditions in Target Field. And then Imanaga, a good pitcher for sure, but one who does give up a lot of fly balls.
Yep.
That Twins lineup looks pretty good to me too. Buxton, Jeffers, Castro, Correa. Buxton's expensive, but deservedly so. And really the rest of these guys are pretty cheap. I don't really want to play Royce Lewis anymore, but he is 2,800 in the 5-hole. It'd probably be overly popular, to be honest. But anyway,
I like Jeffers a lot here. Jeffers, in the 2-hole, 3,300.
He might be the single best play on the Twins, but this is a good spot, I think, for one-offs for the Twins, right? Or maybe a mini stack, because I think an Imanaga is going to give up a bomb or two to the top half of this lineup. Sounds like you agree.
Yeah, and the Cubs pen has actually been really good. It was actually, went to a couple of the games up in Wrigley this weekend, was kind of talking to people about how they've put together a pretty good bullpen from just kind of the scrap heap, which has been, key for them this season. But I don't really want a full stack against Imanaga in that pen, like you said. Yeah, I kept Jeffers, Correa, Lewis in there against the lefty. And then, Cubs against an extreme fly ball pitcher like Woods Richardson. The Twins bullpen, except for the 2 back end arms, has been really bad over the last month. Worst ERA in baseball over the last month, which really shocked me. Because of how strong the back end of their pen is, but they've been losing games, so those guys haven't pitched as much. Yeah. Got to like the Cubs here. If you like the cheap pitching, which we do on this slate, you can get up to the trio of Cubs studs. Who they just smashed all weekend. The poor Cardinals, they hit eight bombs in the game on Friday, and then they scored 11 in pretty tough conditions on Sunday. So the Cubs bats are hot. The back half of the order is cheap again now that Carson Kelly's down to like a playable price again. I really like the Cubs here. I think they're one of the better stacks on the slate, and they're going to go pretty under-owned for, I think, the upside that they can show in this spot.
Yeah. Why are the Cubs going to be low owned? Seems like everyone would be on the Cubs here.
Yeah, I'm seeing everyone under 10%.
I guess that could be one of the more popular stacks, though, right? On this slate, because there's 13 games.
Yeah, that's true. Just a lot of games and a lot of good spots. Like we've already talked about a couple, and there's the game out in Sacramento too.
Yeah. All right. Got to keep moving. That's 5 down, 8 to go. Let's go to Milwaukee for the Dodgers and the Brewers. Going to be the Brewers rookie Jacob Mizorowski. I don't know if you saw the quote. It was right before. I think I get updates from Underdog for lineups and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a quote from the Brewers manager about Mizorowski, but it was kind of. People can look it up. It's a funny quote. It gets a little weird at the end of it. But the point is, Mizorowski has a ton of talent, and he'll go up against someone kind of on the back half of it. Clayton Kershaw, who just got strikeout number 3,000 in a kind of a poor performance against the White Sox.
I just pulled up the quote.
little little
If
weird.
you haven't seen it, look it up.
I didn't want to pull it up, but I didn't want to misquote it. So you just got to remember you're interested in. But yeah, Kershaw here. I don't think I'm playing Kershaw here at 7,700. I don't think I'm getting to Mizorowski either. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could talk me into him. I just don't like playing pitchers against this Dodgers team, but it is watered down a little bit, and obviously the talent with him is it's what is it? It's oozing with potential, something like that for Mizorowski.
He's got gooey stuff all over.
There we go. But the Dodgers, man, Ohtani, I think in particular, just like an awesome play to me. I think Mizorowski is just going to challenge him with his 100-mile-per-hour heat.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times that ball is going to end up 470 feet in the seats somewhere. So I really, really like Ohtani. It looks like he's going to be a little lower owned too. Beyond him, I don't know if there's that many Dodgers that I really want to play, but I do want as much Ohtani as I can get into my lineups. What say you on this one, Steve? Dodgers and Brewers.
Yeah, on a big slate, this is one where I don't have that much interest. I don't want either pitcher at these price tags and these matchups. I actually only have Ohtani in my pool from the entire game, so we can save some time on this one.
All right. Just a nice, good old hard agree there. Ohtani, get him in there.
Yeah.
Nothing else you need from Dodgers and Brewers. Pittsburgh and KC up next. This one in Kauffman Stadium. A little bit of winds blowing in, but it'll be hot, humid, of course. Seth Lugo going for Kansas City's 8,800 on DraftKings. Feels like a steep price for Seth Lugo. Is a good matchup here, though, against the Pirates. It feels like maybe a pretty decent, safe option. If I don't know, for the fellow hand builders out there, you build your lineup. You got something you like. You got a 5-3 stack, and you got 8,800 for Lugo. I think that's okay. Not someone I'm really like trying to get into my lineups, at least not yet. And then Mitch Keller going for the Pirates. Coming off, I think his best start of the year, one of them against the Cardinals. Actually, had a lot of Cardinals lefties in that game. That didn't go super well. I don't love Keller here at 7,400, but I don't play him very often. So I guess maybe potentially a blind spot there. It is an okay matchup against the Royals. I just probably not getting to it. And I guess, I haven't built out most of my lineups yet, but I don't think I'm going to end up on much from this game. What about you, Steve? Pirates and Royals?
Yeah, kind of the same thing here. I think Lugo's a decent option to kind of have in your pool, but he is overpriced here. He does have 4 straight starts with 7 strikeouts. I don't think that's going to continue, but if it does, against the Pirates is a good spot for him to have one more good start in a row. He's been really good all season. I just don't see big-time upside in this spot, but then again, that's just what he's been doing for last month. I don't love it. I think I would rather go up or down and kind of avoid this range. I was going to be on more Gilbert and Warren, but with that weather, I think might be going up and going down in this range. So, while Keller hasn't been awful, I don't really want to stack the Royals either. I know that they kind of got there last night, but I don't know. The price tags are up now. I don't really have much interest in this game overall besides possibly some Lugo.
Yeah, all makes sense to me. We've got the Nationals and the Cardinals up next. Busch Stadium in St. Louis for this one. More of the same weather. Another game that we are going to have to pay attention to potential storms in the area. Most of these games do look like they're going to play for me, but it's possible one of them ends up with potential issues. It's kind of hard to say which one right now that might be. It's that kind of night with the heat and humidity.
Yeah.
And I think delays are more likely than full rainouts. But again, at least make sure you're double checking the weather if you're going from players from this game in Busch Stadium. Sonny Gray going for the Cardinals has been really good. I think he's kind of an underrated pitcher in general. And he obviously had the monster game a couple starts ago, but in general, it's pretty consistent. I don't love the spot for him here. A lot of lefties in the lineup, but I think he's a pretty reasonable play at 9,700. I do like him more than Logan Gilbert at 9,500. I'll say that between the two. So yeah, some interest in Sonny Gray for me. And then Jake Irvin going for the Nationals. Not on my list today. I do like some of these Cardinals lefties. Maybe they'll do better than they did against Mitch Keller the other day. But I think some of these guys, Donovan, Burleson, Gorman, Newbar, basically all the lefties I think are in a pretty good spot against Irvin, who gets hit really hard by left-handed bats overall. So decent spot for the Cardinals lefties, and then I think a decent spot for Sonny Gray. Where'd you end up on this one, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's a really good spot for the Cardinals bats to kind of bounce back after a tough series up here in Chicago. They get the Nats, who are, coming off basically emptying out their entire staff. They fired Mike Rizzo after 15 plus years, maybe 20 years of being the GM there. Him and Davey Martinez out the door. Being from DC, I could talk about that for longer, but I think it's more of a ownership issue. We can talk about that a different time. But anyways, Jake Irvin here, fly ball pitcher who's just been getting crushed for power lately.
Yeah.
The worst bullpen in baseball behind him here. I think the Cardinals bats work really well on this slate. DC, if you're paying up for Hunter Brown or Ray or both, I think it works really well with the Cardinals. Look at how cheap this lineup is today in a really good spot against Irvin. The Cardinals are one of my favorite stacks on the board here. Really, really like them. And then as I dug into Gray against all these lefties, he was growing on me more and more. I'm not sure if it's a split that's going to continue. He's been dominant against opposed handed batters this year. 558 OPS against with a 29% strikeout rate against left-handed bats this season. I don't think that's how he's been in his career, but it's what he is right now. So I think
he throws more breaking balls than ever. I think he gets a lot of swings over the top of those down and
the big curveball. He's throwing a lot now. So I think especially with the weather in New York kind of knocking out those options, it makes me like Gray more and more here. I think he's got a great shot at the win. He's been pitching deep into games. So it's all Cardinals here. I think that they are one of the better stacks on the slate. No one ever wants to play them. And they're just so cheap. So that's kind of where I'm at here. I'm going to be higher on Gray than I was this morning. And Cardinals, who have let me down time and time again this year, look like they're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think I'll join you in on some Sonny Gray action. He makes some sense to me, especially with the information you mentioned there with the lefties. I think that makes a lot of sense. So probably joining you on a little Sonny Gray action tonight, of course, weather permitting, which I think it will be okay to do so. Cleveland and Houston up next. Guardians and Astros in Minute Maid Park in Houston. We've got, I think, the overall, got it. If we're taking price out of the occasion, the highest projected pitcher, I don't know why it took me so long to say that, highest projected pitcher on the night, Hunter Brown. I think in a good spot here, Steve, against the Guardians. And then lefty Joey Cantillo going for the Guardians. I'm not quite sure what to think about Cantillo. I really haven't played him. I guess, he's probably not. He doesn't really go deep enough into games. I guess he looks okay as a pitcher, but yeah, he's a kind of a relief guy. I wouldn't expect a lot of innings from him. But curious where you ended up with the Astros righties, because anytime they get a lefty, it's interesting, right? Because they just have that all right-handed lineup that occasionally you see them kind of really tee off. Seems like maybe a spot that could happen against Cantillo, maybe get into the bullpen early here. Some interest in the Astros for sure. Quite a bit of interest in Hunter Brown. He is my preferred spend-up play. Your thoughts here, Steve, Guardians and Astros.
Yeah, Brown's has been so goddamn consistent this entire season. He has 2 starts the entire year where he's given up more than 2 earned runs. He's just been so consistent with strikeout upside. He's pitching deep into games. He's got a high ground ball rate. really, really like this spot. I mean, this Cleveland team right now is just dead in the water. They've lost, 10 games in a row, I think. And it's mainly been the offense that has contributed to that. Bottom 3 in both weighted runs created plus and ISO in the split. Third highest strikeout rate over the last month. This is just a different Cleveland lineup than we've seen the last couple of years, DC. I think we want to be aggressively playing pitchers against them. I think $11K is a fair price, if not too cheap for Hunter Brown. I think his ownership projection is too low here. I'm going to have well over what Saber has at 25%. I think he's just an awesome, awesome play. Really, really like him. And we have cheap bats to get up to him here. So I like Brown. And then when I did the playbook, Houston was like the team that I think could go off that I'm kind of scared to not have that much of here. Cantillo's a lefty. He's not going to go super deep in this game. We saw him kind of in that, I believe it was Thursday against the Cubs. I remember because I was watching the game. He really fell apart late in that start. So I don't think he has much gas to go further than he has. He's been in the bullpen all season. So, a guy kind of transitioning to the rotation, not because of anything besides necessity, really. So I think Houston's interesting here. The prices are up after they've, had a good week or so. But, man, I don't know. I'm kind of undecided on whether to include the Houston 5-mans here. The Cleveland bullpen has not been good this year outside of the back half. So,
well, I mean, Emmanuel Clase, their closer, really good closer. Obviously, he's pitched 2 days in a row. Cade Smith, 2 of 3. Sewald, 2 of 3. Gaddis in the last 2. If they're able to get to this guy early, they might, for one, ask Cantillo to try to get through the second time of the order, which I think could go really badly, right? If those all those righties, Altuve and Cam Smith and Paredes, Diaz get a second shot at him.
Yeah, that's what happened against the Cubs too. He started to nibble, walk some guys. Yeah,
and then if Hunter Brown's mowing it down, tired Cleveland pen, you could see
they can just punt this game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the games that seems more likely for that situation. So, as we talk through it, Houston going to be making the list for me. I'll shout out Cam Smith, my favorite of the bunch. Once again, just absolutely murdering lefties right now and only seemingly getting better in his rookie season. Any Guardians for you, Steve? I don't even think,
No Guardians on a huge slate. I'm going to have a bunch of Brown. And then, the Houston guys, you don't even really need to mess around with the back half of this lineup. Cam Smith, I think, one of the better one-off plays on the whole slate.
I think you can go down to Hummel. Cooper Hummel looks pretty good. Switch hitter in the 6 hole. Yeah, everyone 1 through 6, I think, looks good against Cantillo and the Guardians team. So going in on some Houston Astros tonight for sure. We move westward to Angel Stadium. We've got the Rangers and the Angels, 2 righties going here. Nathan Eovaldi, who's coming off a good start against the Orioles, 72 pitches in that one, missed an even month with injury, but did look most of the way back, I think, for that last start. Should be probably more or less good to go going forward, you would think, for Eovaldi. So pretty good spot for him for here against this Angels team for sure. He is 10K. I hadn't really considered playing him. I think I would rather get up to Hunter Brown, but on paper, I do think Eovaldi probably a pretty solid play here. And then Jose Soriano, he's been incredible in 4 of his last 5 starts. In those 4, averaging 30 DraftKings points per game across a 4-start span. And you've got the one really bad game against the Nationals mixed in there. I don't think we were on the show on the 3rd, the last time he pitched, but I did mention on the show for sure that even in that game against the Nationals, he was coming off that game at the time, obviously. His metrics still looked amazing in that game. He still got a ton of whiffs. Mm-hmm. It's just every ball the Nationals put in play turned it into a hit. Sometimes you have games like that, any starter does. Then he bounces back 7 shutout innings against the Braves. So I almost think that national start, if we're looking at the game logs here, looks almost more like a blip on the radar to what is the new. I don't want to give him the credit of putting out 30 fantasy points every time up because literally nobody does that. But I mean, a 7,400 for what this guy has done in 4 of the last 5, and then a potential kind of little caveat on the one bad performance. I have to have some interest here, Steve, at 7,300 against the Rangers. It's a decent enough matchup. Yeah, sign me up for some Soriano tonight. Where'd you end up with Angels and Rangers?
Yeah, I think I've cored him his last 5 starts. I'll take the one bad one in there, where he has like a 700 batting average on balls in play. Yeah. I mean, as a guy with a 65% ground ball rate, his BABIP at I think it's like 324 in the season is even going to come down. Like, there's no way getting that many ground balls that it's just going to continue to be so high. He's been underpriced for a month now and under projected every single start and under owned every single start. I think he's a better play than Brian Bayo, straight up, honestly. And I think you can play both. So yeah, I really like Soriano here. Played him in the last start against the Braves. The Rangers are a little bit better with Wyatt Langford back in there, but still, I mean, at best, what a middle of the road offense overall. So yeah, I like Soriano here. Love the price. Eovaldi, I kind of want to see. I was hoping that he wouldn't be 10K in the spot because I think that they'll at least not let him go like 100 pitches. I think we're going to see a more gradual build back up for him. I think we're going to see 80, 85 here. And even if that's wrong, I think the chance that happens is high enough that at 10K, I think I'd rather just get up to Brown or Ray here, unless I'm playing just a shitload of lineups. So,
even in this game, I would like gun to my head. I think I would take Soriano straight up or for Eovaldi just fantasy points today if I had to. Right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I love Soriano here. I'm not going to play any bats on either side of this game. It's all Soriano here for me.
With you. Big fan of Jose Soriano tonight. Hopefully he can get the job done once again. San Diego and the Diamondbacks are up next. Obviously, Pitchers Park here, one of the few games that is going to play genuinely pitcher-friendly. We'll talk about San Francisco game next. That's the other one. Merrill Kelly, Nick Pivetta, 2 veteran, pretty good pitchers going here. Zach Gallen owned this Padres team last night. I would not expect the same thing from Merrill Kelly, who I'm pretty much out on, and honestly the same for Pivetta. I just don't like messing with this Diamondbacks team. It seems like there's very few truly big games against the D-backs when they've got most of their good guys in there, which they should tonight. We'll see if Ketel Marte makes the lineup. Pivetta, a good pitcher, though, and pitching at home. I mean, I don't think he's a bad play by any means. I just find myself, as we talk through this, I find myself kind of either wanting to play Hunter Brown or spend down at pitcher where there are several guys that I like quite a bit. So I don't think I'm going to play Pivetta or Kelly. Probably not a lot of bats, though, in this one either. Obviously, tough place to hit. So, yeah, one of the few games where I'm not looking at a whole lot. What about you, Steve? D-backs and Padres here.
Yeah, this is kind of like the Royals game for me, right? Yeah. Don't really want anything. We did just get the Arizona lineup. Both Carroll and Marte are in there. Naylor's in there. Suarez. So, yeah, I mean, we got the A lineup for Arizona. I think Pivetta more of a, MME type of play just because he does have the strikeout upside. But I think he's a 10K guy in like a plus matchup, not a 10K guy against Arizona. I think I'm just going to play more Hunter Brown and Robbie Ray, then go to him. And then I'm just not interested in Kelly against a low strikeout team like the Padres. So, this is on a 13-game site. I think this is my third full cross-off game.
With you. Moves us to San Francisco for the Giants and the Phillies. Lefty Robbie Ray going for the Giants here. Another guy that I think is on the short list of pitchers to pay up for. He is my second favorite, behind Hunter Brown, and then Taijuan Walker going for the Phillies. I would expect, 2 or 3 innings, it looks like, out of Taijuan, maybe a little bit longer than that, but hasn't pitched a ton of innings this year or recently, so probably not a super long outing. I don't think he's in play in any case. Giants bats, Devers, super cheap price point, but really hasn't done a lot with the Giants. Yeah, good matchup, of course, on paper, so maybe you could talk me into some Devers. But yeah, it's kind of Robbie Ray or bust for me in this one, Steve. Where'd you end up?
Yeah, Ray, a guy for a longest time was, super volatile, mainly because of the walk rate. And, from start to start, you didn't really know what you were going to get for him. That has not been the case this year, DC. Over the last, 10 starts, he's got under a 5% walk rate. He's just been so consistently good, pitching deep into games. And that's going to allow him to put up slate winning scores, which we've seen from him several times this year at home in, the best pitcher's park that we talked about so far, besides maybe San Diego, like you said. Phillies worse against lefties. I do prefer Hunter Brown 1-1, but I think you can play both. I think you can, if you're playing several lineups, I think that there are plenty of scenarios where Robbie Ray outscores Brown here, even though I wouldn't take it heads up. And then, I think you could play some Giants bats against Walker and the Phillies bullpen. The Phillies pen for most of the season has been really bad. They're 5th worst estimators over the last month. Taijuan plus a bad pen. I don't love playing Giants bats, but maybe like the night slate or something as a pivot to the Sacramento game. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something besides you could play some bats, but it's not super exciting in this park, I will say.
The most lukewarm possible endorsement.
You play the
night slate.
Hey, we got 20K to first on the night side. I just checked.
Fair enough. It's hard for me to imagine that multiple Giants end up on the winner on a 13-game slate with all the good hitting weather and everything, but certainly stranger things have happened. So yeah, they do on paper, I think, look pretty good. It's just hard for me to get there personally. Braves and A's up next. Good one to finish off this slate. Going to be prime hitting conditions in Sutter Health Field in Sacramento. Jeffrey Springs going for the Oakland A's. I think it's not Friday Night Fireworks, but I think the Braves stack looks like a pretty tasty one to me, Steve. Particularly Ronald Acuna looks amazing at one-off play. Up top of this lineup, can really run on Springs as well. And then rookie Didier Fuentes going to be going for Atlanta. I have played him a couple times. It's been one bad, one decent, I guess, last time out. There's some talent there. He's 5,300, Steve. I do think the Braves kind of need him with the injuries to Sale and Schwellenbach. So I do think he is, I think he's legitimately kind of pitching for at least short-term spot, in the rotation. I think maybe they'll make a move at the deadline, but I think they want him to be a guy that can give him 5 or 6 innings, each time out. Dangerous spot for him too. It reminds me a little bit of Yuri Perez. Now I don't think Fuentes is on that level of a pitcher, but like Perez, he could easily get crushed by the long ball here. Tons of power on this A's team, but also a ton of strikeouts to be had as well. And pitchers do make it sometimes 5 or 6 innings without getting a home run, even in these prime home run conditions. So I do have some interest in Fuentes, mostly because of the price at 5,300. But I do think he could get 7 or 8 strikeouts if things kind of go his way. So I got some interest there. I assume the field's not going to be joining me too much on Mr. Fuentes, but My Saber won't load for me. My computer's running a little slow. So I'm
You
not
tried to click on Fuentes and Saber just shut down.
yeah, exactly. I got some interest in Fuentes. Maybe, unfortunately, Uncle T never joins me on these shit pitches. That's fine. Go play Hunter Brown and Robbie Ray, and I'll bash my way to the top with Acuna, Ohtani, and Judge. Steve, talk to us. Braves and A's.
Yeah, I like both sides here for bats. You mentioned the Braves. The price tags are just so good outside of Acuna and Olsen. The entire lineup is pretty much free. Just a great spot against a fly ball pitcher who's struggled to give up power. That's Jeffrey Springs in a nutshell, especially at home. 8 bombs in 40 innings. Fuentes, I think, is going to kind of have the same issues here. Like you were saying, they kind of rushed him to the major leagues. He's the youngest pitcher going on the slate tonight. I'm just kind of concerned that at this point he's a fastball only guy and he's going to really, really struggle with left-handed batters. I think Oakland's in a really, really good spot here. And they're kind of priced up. I think that these price tags, DC, are going to keep people off of Oakland. We've got Wilson's at 47, Rooker 52, Kurtz 48, Langoliers 42, Soderstrom 45. Like, this is an expensive lineup, but we've seen this place time and time again smash. I'll give it away. This is JBC's top premium bet is the over in this game, so he likes both sides here. So, I really do like the Braves. I think that the A's at these ownership numbers are super, super interesting, especially if you like the cheap pitching, which we do on this slate. I think Fuentes is an arm to keep an eye on longer term. I'm just not sure that this is the spot for him. I really like these A's lefties against what I think at this point is a one-trick pony fastball pitcher who doesn't have many secondary offerings that are going to get major league hitters out right now. So I'm on both sides here. I think this game's going to shoot out.
I might have to capitulate to Uncle T and lower my Didier Fuentes exposure after learning that the great JBC has the over in this game. That's not good for my Fuentes love.
Over 10.5 too, and it just went to 11.
Don't like the sound of that for my Fuentes love. I'll be honest. Just gonna have to go lower him a little bit after the show, but I'm too stubborn, so I'll probably still play him in one lineup. How high? What about the Braves? You high on this team too? I assume.
Yeah. I like the Braves a ton here. I think they'll end up being by far the highest owned team on this slate. They do have the highest team total. They're in Sacramento. They're super, super cheap, as I said. So, you're going to be playing into ownership, but I'm kind of okay with that. Like, I just don't see on a 13-game slate it getting out of hand like we had last night with Boston. So, I just like both sides for bats here, but really think that it could go poorly for Fuentes early.
Yes, sir. That is all 13 games. And
sadly, we all know the Braves will score two. Yes, they've been in great spots before this season, Brady.
Yeah. Somewhat surprisingly, I do think we have time to load up the Dong draft Tuesday afternoon. I think I got one last time.
You're up 6 to 5.5 right now, so it's a dead heat.
It seems like a decent number to have for the times that we've done it.
Yeah, and I think we've skipped it several weeks, so we should be even higher right now.
Yeah, we're crushing. Don't check the math. We're going with that. Steve, I'll give you first pick. 1.5 points for 3,500 or below, as always.
I'm going to start out west with the A's since I have their lineup open right now, and go with our guy Larry Butler leading off on the left side.
Yes, I can see that call. More marks against my man Didier. That's all right. I'll stick in that same game and go. No Braves lineup yet, but he'll be in there. Give me big Sean Murphy. I think I got one with him the other day.
I think Sean Murphy, the 1.5x as well.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes. He wouldn't have made the cut if he was an extra $100, but with the 1.5, he's It's on the board.
Yeah, so he's usable now at that price.
Yes.
I will go to a game we talked about earlier. I think one of the better one-offs on the slate. I'll go Ryan Jeffers, 1.5.
Very strong selection by Mr. Boynton. Let's look here. Who's gonna go yard today? That's Jeffers is a really good call. You know what? I'll stick in the same game once again and get another 1.5 guy teammate. Carlos Correa can still hit lefties, maybe sometimes. Like his chances tonight against Imanaga. Steve, go ahead and make your last pick here.
I will go with. Damn it! I was going to take Gorman, but he's 3,600, just completely worthless to us now. I'll go with a guy who was red hot and gave me, and I'm sure you and a lot of people, a 0 last night, but he gets back on track tonight. George Springer. To go deep.
Hard to argue with the Springer selection. Since I'm not a coward, I'll pick a third player under 3,500 on the slate. Give me Mr. Andrew Benintendi for the White Sox, taking Chris Bassett. But I think I'm going 3 for 3 tonight, Steve.
Murphy, Correa, Benintendi.
Yeah, what could go wrong? Excellent.
Make sure to get the Dong parlay in as well.
We'll probably be skipping it next week after we go 0 for 6 tonight. But yeah, we'll cross it. It's actually be 2 weeks because we got the All-Star break coming up. Nobody will remember our show.
No one will even know.
That's perfect. We'll never speak of it again. Pitching, Steve. We talked about quite a few guys that we like. But what's your preferred combination tonight? What are you rolling with on DraftKings?
Yeah, I think a Brown-Soriano combo for me. I just really like the Soriano pivot to Brian Bayo, who, as we've done the show, has gone from 20% to 27% to 29%. So I think Bayo is going to continue to catch steam here. And I do like the Soriano pivot to him. What's
Soriano at ownership-wise?
I see 9%.
Ooh. All right. Well, I'll join you on the Soriano train as one of mine. I do like Brown as well. But give me some not Fuentes. Give me Yuri Perez, who I think is a slightly better play. At least JBC is not on the over. I don't know. Maybe he is too on the Atlanta. Yeah.
Do you want me to check?
It's not on the premium plays, at least. Okay.
Yeah, it's not on the premiums.
We'll go with that. Yuri Perez, Soriano, and Bats. 3 stacks tonight, Steve. We got a big slate. 3 stacks you're looking at.
Yeah, I'll go Cubs. I'll go A's, and then I think the sneaky one that's pretty cheap that I talked about earlier, the Cardinals as number 3. If you want to double spend a pitcher, I think the Cardinals are really interesting.
I like that. Yeah, I'm in on the Cubs as well, but give me I kind of only want to play one side of this game at one time, but I do like the top of the order for the Twins. Obviously, we both like Jeffers and Castro. You got Buxton in there. Castro's cheap enough. So I like the Twins. I do like the Blue Jays once again. And then the Astros really have grown on me throughout this slate against the lefty Cantillo, and potentially a white flag type of game for the Guardians pitching staff with Hunter Brown going on the other side. I think there's just a lot of home run upside in particular for those Astros tonight. All right. I think that will do it. Awesome show as always on Tuesdays. Thank you to everybody for watching and supporting the show. We do appreciate it. I'll be back same time, same place with stats tomorrow as we wind down toward the All-Star break. Looking for some big scores over at Run Pure Sports. Trying to join Mr. JBC up top of the standings.
Yep.
All right. Till tomorrow, though, he's Steve. I'm Draft Cheat, and we're out of here.